All right, we are back with the Dustin LeBleu CEO podcast, and today we are finally answering the questions that you guys had for us about, 2 weeks ago, probably, Austin?
Yeah, around that time. There was actually, there were several, but we are taking the main points.
Had the demon dust going on.
But we're going to take the, main three questions that were asked, some of which, actually, I want to say these are pretty basic questions.
I think they're pretty basic, but they were
the most commonly asked. Sorry, I keep leaning away from the mic.
They're the most commonly asked, and over time we probably get this the most out of any. So I figured, kind of boiled it down to, out of the 20 or so questions, we boiled it down to like 3. So the first one we'll talk about is actually something we've talked about in the past on, I believe it was the marketing episode number 1, I think it was.
Yep.
But the person asked, how do I market? How do I grow my business on Facebook? How do I grow my Facebook page?
Yeah.
And I guess, with you having a little bit of experience now with Facebook, I'll let you kind of go into it, kind of get us started off.
Yeah. So first thing is first, you need to know your demographic. So going into Facebook, keep in mind, you're going to end up spending money irregardless, because, we're going to get into the whole boosted ads thing. But before you even can get into the whole ads idea, and furthermore, anything more in depth, you have to know who your product is aimed towards, how you're going to target them, let alone what that target audience really is. So, I know that's kind of like repeating myself there.
It's not, though, because remember, a lot of these people have not even really dealt with a Facebook page, mostly on a personal experience, and it's a lot different in business.
Oh, yeah. Well, definitely. A business page has not ran anything close to what a personal page has ran like. So for me, for instance, let's take Insane Labs.
Okay.
So let's take Insane Labs' Facebook page. When it first started out, of course, you're going to get your base followers, which actually know the brand or have followed it since the beginning. So, you might get your, I don't want to overshoot it and promise people a high amount of followers, but, you'll get anywhere from like maybe 10 to 20,000 maybe organic followers that know your name real well. But then again, we're talking about a brand that we kind of had some popularity around already, kind of. So,
well, I guess if you were to like open a page right off the bat and you didn't know boosted ads, you didn't know what you're doing, you're gonna not really get any exposure at all.
Yeah.
Because business pages are meant to be. Facebook knows that you need to spend money.
Exactly.
And if you don't have something that's already like extremely well built,
mm-hmm.
you have to put money into it. But how do you put that money into it?
Exactly.
And where do you target it the best?
So, first things first. Again, just to reiterate, make sure that you know your target audience. Second of all, jumping into it, for me, since I do a lot of like banner creation and stuff of that matter, you need to make sure that your image and everything that you're portraying on Facebook is actually up to par and visually appealing, because that's what's going to draw a lot of people in. If you can't get your target audience to come to you with the proper image, then you could be one of those companies that ends up spending money on Facebook, and you end up being one of those, people that someone just scrolls over. Mm-hmm. I guess that's a good way to put it. Is that
the reason
see your ad.
Sorry to cut
no,
you
go
off,
ahead, dude. You're good.
I just thought of something. One thing to keep in mind on Facebook is a lot of people don't understand this, that they used to have a 20% text rule, and it was very confusing to a lot of people. We spent literally months and months of just obsessive time learning this shit, right? So when you mention image, it's really key to have something that's going to grab somebody's attention without words.
Yep.
So if you have, the more text you have in a Facebook ad, the less it's going to deliver. So meaning, it's not going to reach as many people. It's not going to reach as many eyes.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way to appeal within your demographic. So like you said, Insane Labs, we have another company, that's based on like really like female based.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got this kind of weird little thing, but we know our audience is females between 18 and 35. Like, we know that. So when we target that imagery to those women. So that's what you have to know first and foremost before you really spend money on a Facebook page.
Yep.
You have to know this, or else you're just going to be throwing money out the door.
Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind, going off of what you said about the text on the actual banner, you can't have minor amounts of text. Again, like you said, the 20% text rule. Now, with the way that Facebook has it structured now, you can actually have a little bit more, but it no longer goes on on a yes or no scale,
right?
In regards to boosting. What it goes by is normal, low, medium, high, and then like I think it's like very high or strict or some outlandish.
Some of them will not deliver.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
So you can have a normal banner. You won't have any problems in regards to like actual disbursement when it comes to boosting. And of course, low, you can have a little bit higher amount of text. Now it may reach a lower target audience than what you would prefer, and so on and so forth, going up the scale from medium, high, and so forth. So be very tactical with the way you put text on your banner, but first and foremost, definitely try to weave your I guess you would say target words into the actual the description itself. Yeah, that is the best way to do it.
I would say this, Austin, if this is, because remember, these are guys that don't really know Facebook at all.
Yeah.
For the most part. So I would say, for the most part, limit yourself to imagery at first.
Oh yeah.
Understand that images are really the best thing, in my opinion, to catch somebody's attention.
Yeah.
Use something that's eye-catching. Now, once you figure that out, so like I'm saying, limit yourself here. Use the images, use your bottle or your shirt or whatever you're using, but keep away from the text. But when you do decide to do text, here's an example of what would work, okay?
Yeah.
So we did one, we put up 3 of our products, and we said, name your favorite product, okay? That's a real limited amount of text, but you're asking the person to engage in your post. So you want to have that engagement. So you're not going to go in there and be like, hey, my pre-workout is blah, 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 blah. You're not going to get anything. So when you get away from images, or when you're using images and text, make sure that you're, doing something that's effective with the shortest amount of words possible.
Yeah, and we actually may touch on this later on in this episode, or hell, it may be a completely different episode. But videos, you can. I want to use the word subvert, but I don't know if that would be the correct terminology for it. You can actually get around the whole text thing by using a video, but then again, keep in mind that when a video is playing on Facebook, what happens? Here's a key: the audio does not play if somebody's just scrolling. They have to actually click.
Have the audio turned on.
So they actually need to click on the video. So again, keep this in mind. Like I said, we'll touch on it later on. Subtitles. Keep that in mind. Put subtitles on there. Grab attention within the first 5 seconds, because that is the attention span of today's people, hands down.
Yeah, and actually, we had a few questions to go by. Actually, I want to spin this. I want to spend a lot of time on the Facebook thing.
Okay, let's go.
I think this, and we will do other episodes on these other questions, but I think now that I'm getting into it, I don't want to confuse these guys and be like, do this and it's going to work, because it's not that easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to get into like, I think that's my phone. My bad. Apologize.
Oh, dude, you're good.
But you mentioned video, and that's something that we were doing. Gosh, man, it's been 2.5 years ago. We actually said, like, look, 3 to 5 second video is where it's going to be at, and you're seeing now.
Yeah, that's where it's at. I remember, like, we were all basically, it was the original 3 designers, which was me, Chase, and Jordan. And then I remember when we came over, we moved offices to the film house, and you told me, you're like, okay, we need to start doing video content. And we started with like actually trying to get things in like on what I like to call Vine time, which was 6 seconds at the time. Right. And then we had Musical.ly, which was, I believe, 15 seconds. So we were going by those time frames, and then trying to, get, like niche little videos that can fit in a certain area. And then sure enough, we ventured into YouTube, so forth. And now here we are with the podcast. But the point being is that look where it's at now. Where's it at? Is within the first 5 to 6 seconds. If you have to grab your audience's attention, and literally Facebook has gone to this point. And then another thing, which we haven't necessarily tapped on just yet, is Facebook, like actual Facebook video ads. Yes. That's new. That is real new. In fact, that's even new to us to this point.
And what we've done video ads before, but now they've actually taken it and they've taken it down to, I believe it's less than 15 seconds.
Yep.
And what I've found is the best way to do this is really 3 to 5 seconds. 3 to 5 seconds, the more you can fit into that 3 to 5 seconds, that's interesting, which it sounds like easy, right? But it's hard, because how do you make a 3 to 5 second video flow? You know what I mean? Like, how do you make it make sense? 3 seconds. Yeah. That's not very long. If you can somehow figure out a way to do that, and that's why I'm saying practice imagery first.
Oh,
don't get into so much text. Practice imagery. Once you master the imagery of your product, whatever you're selling, whether it be a DVD, a book, a clothing, shoes, whatever, that is really, in my opinion, really, really key.
And you have to know, So, for example, you'll notice that a lot of the banners that we do are made with 3D rendered images using, like Cinema 4D, so on and so forth. And then the background is actually something that we've purchased from Shutterstock. And, we actually build the image itself. However, you will notice that some brands excel by doing organic pictures. Certain target groups respond better to actual organic pictures than they do produced images, which you're going to have to do a little bit of digging and research to find out. Like, look at your competitors. What is working the best for them? Don't copy them. I'm not saying copy them. I'm saying look at what works best for them and do it better. Don't copy 100%. Exactly. Like I want to stress this. Don't copy. Don't be that person that tries to build their brand off the back of someone else. Don't do that. So I know for a fact, like for me, like if I'm, doing an esports post or whatever, I know for a fact that this niche of people do not respond very well to a like modified, photoshopped image. What they want is something organic.
That's different. Like you're more talking about Twitter. Like Twitter has it's a little different in that aspect. And I don't want to get too much in.
I was gonna say Twitter's a whole nother podcast. That thing's weird.
And I don't want to get into that too much. And keep in mind, guys, like we've done, like Austin mentioned earlier, we've messed with Musical.ly, we've messed with Vine, we've messed with Flipagram, we've messed with Peach, we've messed with you don't even probably know half these.
I was gonna say one thing that I will credit Dustin for is that he finds social media platforms before I've ever heard of them. I remember when you told me about Peach, I'm like, what in the hell is Peach? It never took off, really. No, it didn't. But we were on it within a week of it being introduced.
We tried it,
And you know what? I want to say people are missing a big one right now, and they don't really know too much about it yet. And I think you showed it to me. It was real recent. It was the one off Amazon.
Oh, yeah. And we were okay. That's a good one, and this is something to be said. And we need to do a show about this. I won't even go too much into that right now because I'm still figuring it out. But we were on that platform within hours of it being launched.
Yep.
And that would go from like me being, doing some stock market things and things like that. And that's just a whole nother topic. But there's something to be said about getting in early, like in a business. If you can get in early on a social media that you feel like they can take off, do that. Because if not, you're going to be behind the curve. And that's where you're at. If you're going into Facebook right now, there's still money to be made. And there's still a lot of things you can do. But you are a bit behind because it's just the truth, man.
Yeah. So that's
just the truth.
Yeah. And if you're finding yourself at a kind of like a deficit behind other brands, you kind of have to get creative with the way that you're advertising, especially on Facebook. You have to do something that stands out, apart from other brands, which is exactly what we're trying to stress here. So let's actually, let's get back on track. Let's go to Facebook, like back to Facebook. So, we kind of talked a little bit about the pictures, so we've talked, videos. That's in fact, a big thing right now.
Huge.
Of course, we could have individual episodes on each, but we're just trying to give you the basic idea of how to advertise with Facebook, okay, or how to build a brand rather. So the next thing you're going to do is after you have procured this image or video, your next thing you're going to do is you're going to need to spend some money. Get over the idea that this is all going to be free and that social media doesn't come with a cost, because whoever told that to you that's running a business is full of shit. Okay, I'm going to tell you straight up right now.
And get a budget. Budget, whether it be $20 or
hell 20,000.
Yeah, I don't really know what it is, but whatever it's going to be effective for you if you do it correctly.
Yes, and if you do it correctly, you can get your CPM down to damn near a penny if you do it right.
We've done it.
And here's another thing. Don't let somebody tell you, i.e. one of the Facebook teams, that they can get your demographic in a better spot than what you have right now, because I guarantee you your target audience better than anyone else. At least you should, and we experienced that firsthand.
If you learn your target audience, so I know what you're bringing up. So we had one of the Facebook team members hit us up, and you'll once you get into it, you'll get one of these people, and they go off of just basic information that they've learned. And if you have something that's very unique, like say one of our brands is very unique, they don't understand how we market. So they changed some things that we did. It really messed us up, man. We literally had to say, like, don't talk to us, please, because you don't understand our marketing strategy here, and it's working. And we went from, reaching 15 million a week down to like 5 million a week because this person fucked up our stuff, to be honest.
And still people are like, holy shit, 5 million is still huge. Do the math. When your shit falls by 2/3, something, it shows. Not only does it show outreach wise, but when it shows in regards to like the income for the month, like,
yes,
dudettes. I'm sorry, I'm getting
Dudettes.
specific here. It is very impactful, but again, just keep that in mind. That's just a little tidbit. Often, your audience best. Again, this kind of goes back
That's
to
true.
the first damn point, which is know your target audience and know what they do, know their habits,
and I think that's most
know
important.
everything.
Dude.
Yeah,
You've got to know, if you have a brand and you do not know your target audience, you need to stop.
Yeah, stop.
You are not a brander, you are not a marketer, or you need to hire somebody if you have the cash flow. If you don't, you need to spend some time and learn your audience. If you don't know it, I'm telling you right now, you are not in.
You're going to end up wasting money.
Yes.
There's no. There's no way to sugarcoat it. You're going to end up wasting money, and you're going to get discouraged. And oftentimes, a lot of people are just going to quit. Which don't do that. Don't be afraid. If you do fail a little bit, it's a learning experience. So
that's how you'll sometimes find your target.
So let's actually get in depth on target audience. Okay. Once you have this image, you are literally, like I said, you're going to spend money. But how you're spending money is by boosting the image. Now, when you go to boost an image, you're going to see kind of more or less like a little dashboard that's going to ask you a few specific questions in regards to region, age, hobbies and interests. And this is where your most damage can be dealt in regards to reaching the people that you need to reach. So
and pause 1 second.
Go ahead. This
pause.
is where
I'm
you're
sorry.
the best.
I apologize. I just want to make sure, because this is something that I see a lot of people do. They'll go to, like, if you go to Facebook, you go to your page. Let's say your page is called CEO.com or CEO, whatever. So you go to it, and there's a little blue tab that says Boost Post. What the problem is it's so simple to go Boost Post, click, go. No, do not do that. Now, I'm gonna let you go forward with the target thing. I just wanted to make sure they understood that that's not what you do.
Yes, and for actually, in the same aspect, what he's referencing is the same thing a lot of people will do on Twitter now. I'm not going to run off into Twitter, but it's the exact same thing as the quick promote. Don't do a quick promote. That thing is literally trying to populate an audience based off of small traffic to your page, and more often than not, it's misguided and usually hits absolutely nothing that's going to pertain to.
At the end of the day, you're
brand.
wasting cash.
Yeah. So basically, once you get into this, I'd say your age demographic is probably one of the most important. So, for example, we were using Insane Labs. We're hitting 18 to 35 male. Mm-hmm. That is the age point in which
target area, even more specific, 18-25. It's like that.
My bad, 18-25. That is like the hyper specific area. So if we're going hobbies and interests, okay. So Insane Labs is mainly the fitness and health supplements. Mm-hmm. Though yes, we do have esports. That's the one that I tend to to do myself. But Dustin, when you do like the health and fitness side of it, I mean, you can go so far as to targeting people who follow other brands. Yes. It's going to ask you to put in some keywords, so you can go after the name of other brands. You can go after
the name of some specific people.
Yes,
that may be an athlete or may take your product.
Or specific organizations. When I say organizations, I'm talking things like if you want to go after like NBA, NFL, those type of things, like leagues for that matter. You can go after those. I mean,
you can go after what people. What people tend to purchase. What they do in their daily life. There's so many things you can do. I would say to keep it simple, because we want to keep it simplified as much as possible, and it's going to seem intricate to a lot of people. Yeah. But I would say pick a few brands that you feel are closely related to yours, right? Mm-hmm. And then pick a few categories that you feel that are, and go to maybe like 15 interest points, something like that to start.
Yeah, and when he says simplifying stuff, like if you actually see your categories, you'll see health and fitness, and then below health and fitness, you'll see like health and fitness bodybuilding, health and fitness yoga. Like don't go with all the like super specific ones unless you're 100% confident in your ability to choose your target audience. Go with the kind of like the generalized one, because though your ad may be served to one person who in that field that doesn't like the product, it's probably getting served to 20 others who do agree with it.
Unless you're selling like you're selling a product that's a testosterone product, right? Which you can't use the word testosterone on Facebook, or
that's another thing.
So there's keywords that can be, but like you're probably not going to go like big into yoga and ballet
unless there's something we don't know about that.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going to want to target again, it goes to knowing your audience. But those are really like the key elements of Facebook without like going into too much detail that's just going to confuse everybody. And I feel like this may be a little confusing because it is a little bit until you put your own time into it.
I mean, it's kind of, we get a little bit excited talking about it too, because it's like there's so much that we can attack on this, and then we jump from boosting posts over here to like specific words, keywords, and all this stuff. And that's another.
We're already learning though.
Yeah.
We're always learning every day. It's like a new experience. I feel like,
and that's another thing, like you just said, you have to watch some of the wording in your actual description, because if you use a sensitive word such, for us, let's go back to Insane Labs. If you use anything that uses the word testosterone, fat, anything like that, it will not boost your post.
Yeah.
It
So like if
flags
you
it.
say fat burner, for instance, the bots will pick up the word fat like you're fat shaming or something like this. So it's kind of ridiculous, but that's something that you're gonna have to learn yourself. And there might be a different word in your industry that may be considered shaming or some crap like that.
Yeah,
So
it's ridiculous.
it really is. But hey, look, it's Facebook, and if you want to be on there and you want to run your ads, you need to learn this stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, but that's giving you the basic idea of being able to, like the boost a post. So of course, you know what, we hit on the few small things that are on the boost. Of course, like I said previously, you can hit location and a few other things. So once you actually get that formulated down to your target audience, of course, you can set your daily budget. You can set like a pace for a month, a week, however long you really want the ad to run. And on to that point, I would suggest doing a trial run. This is what I like to do. I'll do a boost for like 24 hours, right? I'll go back into that boost, go back into my ads manager, and I'll look at what it's done. Okay, this is done really well, or this is done really bad. If it's done really well, I'll add 5 days to it, and I'll add another part of the budget to it. So in a sense, you're kind of like you're using a hedge in a way, I guess, a net to protect you, I guess. Yeah.
From wasting money. That's always key here.
Yeah, and that's a real smart way to do it as well. So let's see. Now that you've pretty much got your ad being served to like correct people, we've talked about the imagery on your actual page itself. Make sure that your content's interesting, which pretty much kind of relates back to the imagery. You know what? Let's go to like a posting schedule. Let's go to how many times you should hit.
Before that, because now that we're into this, I think this might blow my phone up, son. But before we go into that, let's touch on Instagram is owned by Facebook, right? So there's a button now that you can go boost to Instagram. So you can do that. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not going to be so good, depending on, again, your imagery. So I say we leave off this podcast at where Instagram, like kind of when we're stopping at Instagram, and then we actually do a follow-up to this next week, going more in detail to the Instagram side of Facebook. And I think we actually have a series on marketing here, and I think that's what a lot of people are wanting to do anyway. So let's actually end it here, because I don't want to give the people too much to digest in one setting.
No, I agree. So I mean, you know what, guys? That is like the gist. A quick overview for Facebook. Again, if you have any questions about what Dustin and I talked about today in regards to maybe boosting, imagery, like posting, anything like that, that's just, that the information that we're giving you now is helping you populate a Facebook page with actual true followers, people interested in the brand that can actually turn a potential ROI from you that, or repeat customers for that matter. So yes. That's like I said, that's a quick overview. Again, any questions, feel free to comment on any of our social media platforms. We're on
and last thing, do not buy fake people.
Yeah, don't do
that. Stop doing that.
Don't go to Fiverr. Don't go to any of those websites and do that, because it's blatantly obvious, and there's tools out there to actually measure your account and see how many fake followers you have just based off of like a 1,000 to 5,000 person pool, and they'll see how many fake accounts are on there, and then it looks really bad on you when you're on a statistics website, and
you'll probably get pulled. You'll probably lose your page anyway.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway, if you have any questions regarding this podcast, again, keep in mind we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever. Make sure that you drop a comment, and then that's see, we're also YouTube would be a good place to comment as well. Yeah, YouTube, that'd be a good place. Just go down in the comment section. Make sure just drop your question there. Typically, we try to respond at any point in time. And then for the company that's on everything else, you can add us on Insane Labs as well.
Sure,
we'll try to respond on that.
We appreciate you guys. Have a nice day.